Hello, everybody, and welcome to Apex Racing TV for the Adrenaline Karting Invitational, the Stay at Home 100 at Lime Rock Park in the United States. Andrew Woodhouse here with Marco Barbonero on the cameras, and I'm very, very happy to be joined as well by the voice of the road to Indy, Mr. Rob Howden. Welcome, Rob. Welcome to Apex Racing TV. It's good to have you here.
Andrew, thrilled to be here for sure. And the great thing, of course, is here with this Adrenaline Fix karting program, we got a bunch of drivers who we normally would be seeing out racing right now at tracks like Newcastle Motorsports Park in Indiana, other tracks like that. Instead, of course, everybody's staying at home. They want to get out and do some racing. And the good folks from Adrenaline Fix putting together what should be a pretty interesting race today.
Yeah, we are on the grid for this one. And Chad Petticord has set the best time in qualifying by quite some distance, actually. 7/10 of a second clear of Vaughan Glace, with Chase Johnson in third, joined on the second row by Garrett Powell. Race Liberante is in fifth, with Alan Elwood in sixth. Steve Ritter in seventh. Jeremy Runyon in eighth, as we're ready to go. The green light is on our way.
There Chad you go, exactly, Andrew.
Chad Petticord getting away well from the start, Rob. And, oh, there's a crash at the back, already a crash.
Drivers getting a little over anxious early. Most of these drivers ran another Adrenaline Fix race at WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca.
Oh, and there's a
driver over. Coming through Big Bend, driver over onto the roof.
And that's Tim Huss. Tim Huss, car 39. So Petticord leads into the chicane for the first time. Glace in second, then Johnson and Powell in third. And a good start by the pole man. And these two are away. There's all sorts of shuffling around going on in the midfield. I think coming through the chicane we've had a problem. There's a car off. I think it might be Alan Elwood, Rob.
I'll tell you, it's a big jump for these drivers. Like I said, they ran just last weekend at WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca using the MX-5 Global Cup car. A much different race car here, all downforce, all the horsepower. See a number of drivers coming into pit lane here as well. But as you said, Petticord out to a solid advantage early on. Vaughan Glace slots into second, and Chase Johnson to third.
And I regret to inform you, Rob, that David Cole looks like he's in the pit lane with no front wing and not much left of that IndyCar.
What a shame for David Cole. That's my managing editor at ekartingnews.com. He was hoping for a good race. We had talked earlier, Andrew, and he said it's going to be all about just being able to get home, right? Just to see if they can't survive. He doesn't even make it through the first lap. David will not be pleased with this one at all.
A lot of these drivers are very young as well, and this is a tough car and track combination. There's a crash at the chicane. I think I heard something going on. Something sound like a blown engine. I don't know if you heard that, Rob, but sounded pretty severe for someone.
Yeah, pretty interesting run here early on. Let's have a little look at the replay potentially coming through that particular part of the racetrack. That's through the S's over to Big Bend. Watch them come down here into a hard braking zone. Yeah, that's some contact from back. That's the 15 that went around there.
Yeah, that's Brandy Rusi Maxwell.
Yeah, and not her fault at all. She was just getting into the braking zone, trying to take it easy, and someone drove right into the back of her coming in to what is that corner, that kind of 5 into 5-6, which is the right-left combination, that chicane leading up to slow people down up before they get up to the top of the hill, up to the uphill run.
Yeah, very tough chicane that. And of course, in the newer layout of Lime Rock Park, it used to be a medium-speed right-hander over there and up that hill. Terrific corner in some of the slower cars. I've been running the MX-5 a lot myself the last week or two, and this chicane's caused problems. These big sausage curbs, Rob, they can catch you out, and you do not want to be hitting them too hard because they could easily break the suspension on these single-seaters. Oh, and there, off is Michael Clark.
Team machine going off. That's coming through Big Bend and over to the S's. See what happens here. Just getting the car rotated a little too much. Turned it in, got the left front Firestones, and then contact actually as well coming out of the corner. So a minor error for himself in that number 14 machine, but then contact from behind will drop him a couple spots back even more for Michael Clark.
I thought he did quite well to keep it, to keep the majority of his car off the race surface. But yeah, someone coming through, maybe a tiny bit unsighted, who knows? And that's another thing that can happen on this circuit. Already lap traffic coming into play, Rob. This is the nature of this circuit. We've seen some of the Le Mans Series races here over the years as well. It's very, very difficult to negotiate traffic.
It's such a short racetrack, so when you do have the differences of speeds as we're having here right now with these drivers, you're quickly running on lap traffic, and it's hard to get by some drivers here because you run the inside line and you make the other drivers go to the outside, and that's the toughest part of this, especially with a couple of the braking zones.
Well, we found
look at the the restart.
Yeah. And it all looked quite respectable at first, and then charging into turn 1. Oh, that's what happened then. Oh, I don't. Oh, there. That's the spin. That's Oh, and then Tim Huss just got collected as a result of that one. I'm not quite sure who was involved in the initial spin, but yeah, that sent the chain reaction going.
Trying to pick up who that number 24 is. That was Chad Clay. I think Chad was the driver who qualified poorly, very tail of the field. More contact coming in here. 3-4 drivers around over in turn number 5. Andrew, this is getting a little hectic here right now.
Well, that was also on lap 1, and a few drivers biting the dust there. On board with Garrett Powell. He's got a really good run on Jeremy Runyon, and into turn 1, Garrett Powell comes, this ever-tightening right-hander, double apex, and then one of the few left-handers on the course, Rob, here.
Indeed, this is a primarily right-hand racetrack, and you'll set the car up for that as well, because I said you only that one left-hander. Interesting to watch the battle. Love riding along here now to get a really good look at it. They're on the brakes, hard into the right-hand corner. And as you said, there's a driver spinning up front there, just ahead of these drivers as well.
I think that is Chad Clay again. I think being lapped. He's ended up getting out of shape, going round. And Powell hitting the curb quite hard. He needs to be careful as well that he doesn't overcook it. And Ericsson now, Christian Ericsson, under pressure from Runyon and then Powell again. And he takes the inside rope.
I'm actually liking the race right now. These drivers here in this particular battle are settling in. They're being very respectful. Just kind of pushing each other to try to get that mistake, right? That's really one of the things you have to do at Lime Rock, Andrew. It's hard to make the pass. Another driver off again. You have to do that. You have to push the guy in front of you until he makes that mistake, and then you have to capitalize. Here's an aggressive move down the inside.
Oh, I was just going to... Oh, around. There we go. That's the 64. And that is... that's Noah Stark, who'd already been lapped and getting involved. I was about to ask you, Robert, how on earth are you supposed to deal with the lap traffic at that chicane? And it was obvious that it wasn't that successful.
I think we're seeing drivers get impatient. That's what it is, right? There's just no need here right now. Just take your time. Drivers coming through. Here's that replay. You see the couple drivers going around, back up and over top. You got to.
Oh.
And then we got drivers blocking as well. It's this is an issue here. I think they had some trouble at the last adrenaline fixed karting race they had. Some of these guys need to show a little bit more respect out on the racetrack.
Well, it looked like Powell was really taking it nicely through that section and trying to take his time and not get involved in anything. And then the chrome car, I don't know exactly who that was. Just lost it at the coming out of the chicane and went into him, and now he's crawling around with damage. Unfortunate, but our pole sitter Chad Petticord then 4 seconds clear of Vaughn Glace, and you know, he's showing at the moment that patience and consistency needed at this track.
Let's just watch what's happening here. The drivers who are finding their way through lap traffic when they get too over aggressive, and they're all doing it down over there in turn number 5 into that chicane. You simply can't do that. Other drivers are trying to get woed up. They're trying to get the car turned into the corner. You have to bide your time. And to be honest, that downhill run into the diving turn number 8, Andrew, that's what you got to do. You get a good run down there. If you're faster than that driver, then make the run down into turn number 1. This is going to be all about survival. We have a long way to go in this race. Remember, it's a 1 hour of Lime Rock. These drivers having some trouble here early on.
Yeah, you'd be forgiven for thinking this is a 20-minute sprint, ladies and gentlemen, but certainly not at this point. Oh, there's another contact there. Number 15 goes around again, and that's Lucy Maxwell. But again, it looks like she was hit from behind.
I'm surprised that we've had so much contact here today. It's kind of depressing me a little bit. I figured that they would be running a little bit stronger, but Petticord very impressive up front right now.
She's missing the engine cover on that as well. That's the extent of that damage. The cooling's going to be optimized, but not much else.
Lose a little bit of aerodynamic flow, I would think, on that machine, but she's still running well. Brandy.
Oh,
yeah, that was definitely uncalled for there. Who was that? Was that the 64 again? I think that was Noah Stark potentially coming in, or was that? Yeah, that was Noah Stark, I believe, in the 64. Just
no, it was a
blue.
It wasn't Stark, that one.
No, it was not Stark.
Oh,
no, it was the white.
Whoever's at the front of that battle there, Michael Clark.
14, not the 64, the 14. Indeed, the closing speeds. Obviously, you have to be smart when you're trying to roll a corner speed through West Bend like that, which is turn number 7 on the racetrack. You have to let up. You can't just roll into the back of somebody.
And that's a battle for position. Michael Clark and Chad Clay. Oh, and Ericsson's around. So Christian Ericsson, who was in 4th place, now finds himself facing the wrong way at the bottom of the hill. Not quite sure what happened there. I'm sure we're going to find out. And that's the end of it. So I wonder if
Another driver around here as well.
oh, and that's the kind of accident, Rob, where you feel so pathetic as a driver because it's such a slow speed accident, but very, very easy to do with those big curves that we mentioned.
Move here to the inside, getting by one of the other lap cars. A pretty good run here so far. That's actually the number 46 who is settling in. That's Christopher Iannello. Iannello in the 46 running in the 8th position, but making way for Petticord coming through there on the number 1. That Penske Racing scheme on the number 1 machine for Petticord. He's number 1 on the car, number 1 on the timing chart as well. Vaughn Glace runs in 2nd. Joey Nuzell running in 3rd. Chase Johnson, he and Christian Eriksen battling back and forth for 4th and 5th right now. Yeah,
let's have a little chat about the car as well for people who aren't aware of exactly what we're running here today. This is the Dallara DW12. This is the IndyCar that came in after the tragic events of Las Vegas in 2011. Which sadly claimed Dan Weldon, but Dan Weldon did a lot of the development work on this car, and thus it became arguably one of the safest Indy cars, probably the safest Indy car ever made, and provided some brilliant racing in the series for quite a few years before they switched to the current model. And Rob, for those at home who are a bit more uninitiated, what's the difference between this model, the DW12, and the current one that they're running, the IR, is it the IR18?
IR18, yeah. Well, primarily just looks-wise and aerodynamic-wise, they got rid of the wheel pods that we had on the back of the car as well. A lot less aerodynamic downforce in terms of the front wing. You'll see the different planes on the front wing. Of course, with the DW12, there was a couple of different body styles when we actually went racing. Wow, we're getting aggressive. These drivers are letting it all hang out. But remember, there were different body styles. Of course, Chevrolet had their own aero. Up the hill here through the chicane. Again, over to the West Bend.
8 positions gained for Adam Lacey.
Well done for him, right? Stay out of trouble. That's one of the things we talked about. David Cole and I were just saying exactly that. We'll try to stay out of trouble because it's going to be essentially a run of survival here today. And Lacey, as you said, up 8 positions, so 9 positions now, works his way into 6th spot. So Lacey having a really good run here.
They should have changed the name of the race to the Stay Out of Trouble 100.
They should have done that. Adam Lacey actually out of Maple Grove, Minnesota.
Oh, there you go, the frozen tundra. Steve Ritter.
Actually, the guy that put this race together, he's the organizer of the event, getting all these go-kart racing guys that would love to be back at the racetrack, whether it be Newcastle Motorsports Park, where so many of them race in the KRA series, the Kart Racers of America program. All the karters here in North America would love to be back on the racetrack, but we're all doing what we should be doing, and that's why they're calling it the stay at home. Everybody stay out of trouble. We'll try to flatten the curve here on this COVID-19 coronavirus, and hopefully, we'll be back out racing in real life pretty soon.
Yeah, 100% second that. We hope everybody's staying safe and enjoying the broadcast. You've seen a lot of the effects of this with your work, especially we were talking a little bit before we started this broadcast. But in terms of how important is it that we've got tools like iRacing for the drivers to stay sharp in this either the off season or the time where they physically can't go out and drive?
Well, it's really interesting because it depends on whether you're talking about kart racers, drivers, or drivers potentially in the road to Indy. We've seen a lot of the drivers in the NTT IndyCar series jumping on board. A lot of sims being bought by drivers. Of course, they ran yesterday as part of the IndyCar Challenge at Barber Motorsports Park. A big win for the Aussie Scott McLaughlin there.
Oh! Sorry, that was
Yeah,
almost a bit of a
listen,
traffic jam down in the
yeah, but
chicane.
that's Petticord. That's Petticord, your leader, trying to work his way through lap traffic, and this is why he's getting the job done, because he is just tiptoeing his way through, working by, I believe, was that the number 15 he was getting by there, potentially Brandy Rusi Maxwell once again.
Yeah, when you have a 15-second lead, though, you know that's completely the correct attitude to take. I mean, you've been speaking to a lot of the drivers in the Road to Indy, and I mean, how are they all taking it? How are they all finding this situation? I imagine very frustrating, but they're trying their best out there.
I think that's exactly it, right? We were at St. Petersburg for the Grand Prix. All the drivers on the Road to Indy, all three of the categories, the series, all got one practice session in the books, and we had to pack things up and head home. So I know
that's the leader. That's
the leader. That's the leader. Petticord in trouble with the number 13 contact coming in to that corner.
Well, that is Eric Maitland.
Yeah. Here's a replay of it. Oh, just again, you know what that is? You know what that is? That is a drastic difference in the braking zones for a driver who's leading and a driver who's potentially running mid-pack. You can just Petticord's actually coming to pit lane.
Wow.
Long race for Petticord coming into pit lane. Look at that front wing. You can see the damage on it. Vaughn Glace will take the lead now in the 23. There's Vaughn rolling down into turn number 1.
I have a feeling, Rob, that what Chad Petticord is actually doing here is he's just thinking, right, I had this big lead. I've still got some of it. I'm going to come in, I'm going to fix the damage. I've got the pace to win this race.
I think so too. I think it was a good call. This is a tough racetrack, Andrew. As you know, there's so many fast corners, right? Continuous velocity, fast corners. You need that front downforce. Otherwise, the car picks up a ton of understeer. Look at so many parts of this racetrack, 1 and 2, especially coming through West Bend at the top of the hill. You find yourself in the wall if you don't make a mistake there. So good call for him. He's going to fall well back in terms of time, but we'll watch the pace and see if he's able to work his way back forward.
Yeah, I mean, proportionately with the time left, you would think he's got a chance. Hopefully he's got no suspension damage, anything like that. I don't think he will have. It was quite a light contact, but it just shows just how much even the smallest contact can unsettle these cars at times.
Indeed. And again, like I said, it's the closing speed. This is a tough racetrack. They initially, I think, were going to be running the MX-5 Cup car, but kind of at the last minute said, hey, let's have some fun. Let's jump behind the wheel of the IndyCar DW12. Yeah, it's all well and good. It's going to be a lot of fun to drive the car around the track here, but because of the differing levels of experience in iRacing, right? And obviously, Andrew, you're getting that with a lot of the different events. You're getting a chance to announce here on Apex Racing TV. The simple fact is that there's people that with a lot of experience in iRacing. There's lots of people that are just picking it up right now, right? Just kind of getting into the sport right now. And when you have that, you have this huge spectrum of speed and talent in these racetracks. And Lime Rock's really not the best place to have that kind of a difference, for sure.
Well, what's the expression in America? I was probably doing this when they were in short trousers. That's probably how many races I've seen on this service. But yeah, it is. I do agree. We had a race on the channel last week, an Israeli GT4 league in the Porsche Cayman, and you could tell that there was a lack of experience on iRacing. But that car being a bit slower and a little bit more forgiving at times, it gave them a bit of a chance to kind of get away with a few of these mistakes. Whereas this IndyCar, I mean, I've driven it before in series before, and it is tough.
Tried to get some seat time in it just to get a good feel for it. I drove the IR18 as well. It's a tough race car, as you said. You can see the car. A lot of people have trouble with entry oversteer, just trying to carry too much speed into the corner. The rear end comes around on them. We saw a lot coming through the left-hander here in turn number 3. As you said, it's not an easy car to drive for sure, but running on board here with Chad Petticord, pretty nice look at how to get around here pretty quickly.
Yeah, and we could go maybe for an onboard lap if
I like it. Let's do that.
If Marco can indulge. Just take it away, Rob, when he comes around the final corner.
You know what? Let's just watch him here. I'm not even going to get in the way.
That was nicely avoided. That was.
I don't know that he knew he was under the scrutiny there, but wow, that was a pretty nice little lap put in there. And again, how about kudos to a couple of those lap cars pulling off to the side and not getting in the way of Petticord. I thought that was well done and just a really pretty lap getting around this track here at Lime Rock.
Yeah, just nice and tidy, wasn't it? And quite quick as well. 43.3, 0.3 of a second quicker than Vaughn Glace. I imagine the drivers are going to have to pit once today, Rob, by the looks of it.
I think so. That's actually not a message that I sent out to find out whether or not that was indeed the case, but I would expect at least one time with an hour race here. We still, we're only at the 20-minute mark, 40 minutes still to go in this 1 hour of Lime Rock, again brought to you by Adrenaline Fix Karting. Following the leader, working his way up here, Vaughn Glace in that number 23. Now putting some pressure here. I believe that's the 118. The number we got there, the 118 on that machine. That's yes. Jamie Bradford. That's actually lapping now up to 7th position, maybe even more. That's Jamie Bradford running in the 7th spot.
Well, Bradford, another one who's stayed out of trouble pretty well. Here comes the lapping then. So, well, that's up putting a second lap on Bradford, actually, Rob.
Yeah, I just saw that.
So he's actually lapped up to P4 now.
For Vaughn Glace and Chad Petticord, but we're watching that fight. Let's see what happens when they start working in. There goes that's Bradford actually off the track.
Ah, and somebody we've not mentioned. Oh, and somebody else off as well. That is Runyon. So let's have a look and see what happens to Runyon. Then second to last. Oh, the final corner, and he just got on the curb. Oh,
doesn't work.
Yeah, and unfortunately for him, couldn't get into the pit lane. Oh, Spinner at the top of the hill. I'm not sure who that was. Might have actually been Bradford again, you know. Oh, and somebody going. And that's the car of Tim Huss.
There's no wing there for him.
Well, that's the one that was on his roll hoop at the start of the race, and he's crashed into. I can't see a number on that one because the wing's gone.
That's the 64 and Noah Stark, and that's the 39. That's Tim Huss. So Tim Huss and Noah Stark getting together up there in West Bend.
Oh,
a lot of carnage.
Well, the karting drivers are used to hitting each other a fair bit, aren't they? So
no, listen. Usually, you try not to do that because when you get, we start doing wheel to wheel like that. Remember, we don't have any roll hoops on our carts.
That is true. That is true. And
for the 118 again of Jamie Bradford.
Well, a lot of these drivers will be glad that it is sim racing after some of the crashes we've seen so far. But it is a race of attrition. Bradford missing the chicane, and then just lighting up the rears there.
Be a little more gentle on the application of throttle here. There's a lot of horsepower in the back of these DW18s and DW12 rather. What's this is? We're going back and forth here. That's the number 23 of Vaughn Glace, and just. It's almost trying to straight up avoid some of these lap cars because I said the closing speed's so much different. Look at Petticord coming down the hill through turn number 8 now, Andrew. He is slowly but surely eating up the gap between himself and Glace.
Yeah, that was 1 second on the previous lap. We'll see what he does coming over the line this time. Half a second on this lap. So he really does have the pace. He's now got a clean car underneath him. Oh, just about. But yeah, you're right. It's not necessarily making your way through the traffic, it's avoiding them at all costs around this Lime Rock Park circuit anyway. We haven't mentioned third place very much as well. Joey Nuzel, I hope I pronounced that correctly, but he's in third place after starting in 9th, and he again has done exactly what we said. He's in the Monster Energy car there, and he's going along nicely.
Doing a fantastic job. Joey, 20 years of age, out of Lexington, Kentucky, runs for the Ohio Valley Karting Association. Going to mechanical engineering school, so I like to see that. Guy focused on his schooling, his education, but he's getting it done right now for sure. And like you said, staying out of trouble, running really strong laps. Nuzel in that number 10 machine, P3, ahead of Christian Erickson and Adam Lacey.
Whether or not he wants to, make a career out of motor racing, that mechanical engineering could definitely help him in the industry, that's for sure.
About that, it's interesting. We did the Road to Indy event, and one of our fellow karters that many of these drivers will know, Prescott Campbell, a young Californian who has been racing in the Superkarts USA program in the shifter kart category for a number of years. He's running Road to Indy, and he's won a scholarship because he won the Lucas Oil School of Racing Formula Car Series, having won the karting shootout the year before. So scholarships to work his way into the USF 2000
Oh, that's
program.
Von Glace.
Oh, that's the leader.
Yeah.
That is Von Glaze, the leader. We'll come back to talk about Prescott Campbell, but that is the leader. He's going to have to pit. Look at the damage to the front of that car.
I think that's left rear suspension damage as well, because he cannot steer that DW12 correctly.
Crabbing for
He's
sure.
gonna
We got to see a replay on that one. The leader having trouble coming up through the S's. Give it a call here, Andrew.
Yeah, that's the same accident that we saw coming up the hill just a couple of laps ago. Too much application of the throttle, not enough care in acceleration.
It
and
is.
Just into that right-hand wall. And yeah, these cars can't withstand that.
We've seen it happen for drivers mid-pack. We just saw it happen for a driver who was leading the way. Von Glace now in pit lane in the number 23 machine. That incident, of course, handing the lead back to the number 1 to Chad Petticord. So Petticord goes back to the lead. Pretty impressive run for Chad. His racing name's Chad. His name's actually Jacob Petticord. Well, let's make sure we get this right. He sent me a message to make sure I got it. So Jacob Petticord, the driver who is leading the way here in that Penske number 1 machine. Very similar livery to what we saw when Will Powered won the championship for Penske Racing, Team Penske.
Yeah, there's some good battles there with the likes of Juan Pablo Montoya.
Well, we're going to see Joey Neuzel, I believe, work his way up into second position. Now, obviously, Von Glace on pit lane. We'll see if he gets back out here, what time he does get back out here. But, hey, let's be real. Chad Petticord, if you know anything about iRacing, this guy's got an A license. So we have to expect that he was going to be fast. He'll go to the inside now of that number 24 machine. That's Chad Clay.
And you make a good point there. You bring up a good point in that some of these drivers, you know, are either rookies or Class D, something like that, where this sort of car is completely different to anything they've been driving so far. They might have been in potentially in the Skip Barber or the Star Mazda or the there's another car going off right in front of the leader there. But yeah, they might have been in some of those cars, maybe the Formula 3s, but the Indy cars, like you say, a lot of horsepower, 600-700 horsepower at least, and that can bite you around the track like this.
Talking about a group of American karters here. There's another driver going off there up in West Bend, getting looped around. It's essentially driving a Briggs 206 four-cycle kart, which is the biggest program in karting right now in North America, and jumping right into a 50 horsepower 6-speed shifter kart. Right? It's so much more car. Number of drivers coming in. That's the number 19 as well. Trouble for that machine coming in here. Who's the 19? That's Christian Eriksen.
Well,
P5,
that is
Andrew.
Yeah, and that's the car we just saw spun before the last corner.
Yeah.
So coming out is Neuzel after his stop. Looked fairly routine to me.
We did expect to see a pit stop. Joey Neuzel works his way in. I wonder whether or not the 19 did go around. He is going to get a pit stop done. That's Christian Eriksen, but I believe you're right, Andrew. I think that was actually the car that went around up in West Bend.
Yeah, and putting paid to his progress a little bit. And Petticord then.
My boy David Cole fighting back here, Andrew.
Yeah, he is, and well, he's now back to where he started. So
that's it.
And what are his lap times like? 44.6. It's not too bad. Not too bad. Somewhere in the middle.
He's 3 seconds off of Petticord, but again, he's a C license driver. Petticord and A. We're seeing what the A drivers are doing, right? One's first, one is third, with Petticord and Adam Lacey, A license drivers here in iRacing. Von Glace, who runs second, is a B. Good run for Christian Eriksen, D licensed like myself, and he's running fifth right now.
Yeah, looking at the I ratings here as well, Petticord is the highest I rated driver as well, at nearly 3,000. Most of the drivers in and around the sort of the 1,1300 mark at the moment, but again, the more races they do, as you can see on your screen there, on the timing tower, the different license classes and the safe and the I ratings as well. As in comes Adam Lacey from fourth.
Yeah, good opportunity for people to see the different experiences, right? And that's one of the things
Mm.
I've had a chance, Andrew, to announce a couple or commentate on a couple of races involving IndyCar drivers. We did an event about a week and a half ago at Worldwide Technology Raceway at Gateway. We did a race, the Open Wheels 250. We did an event at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway just this last Friday, and a bunch of IndyCar drivers were in it. But there's still that wide spectrum of iRacing experience, and not even that, but also the sim rigs that are being used. We knew some drivers with really high end sim rigs, other drivers, of course, with an old Logitech wheel and a launch chair, right, working at their
Oh yeah.
desk. So a bunch of
I'm
different levels of experience for sure.
Well, yeah. When I was watching I saw some. Oh, let's have a look at. This is on board with Steve Ritter. See what happens to him, and that is. Oh, and again he just gets. It's on the power.
Yeah.
Loops it around.
Throttle on oversteer. That happens pretty quickly. We've seen a lot of it up there in that part of the racetrack as well.
Well, we even saw, Rob, actually, when you're on about the iRacing experience, we even saw in the NASCAR Invitational race a week or two ago that, even someone like Jimmy Johnson with all his experience found it reasonably difficult out there. But however, on the flip side, someone like, that's narrowly avoiding a crash there for Petticord. Someone like Timmy Hill, who, he was racing in iRacing when I was driving the old Nationwide Series car about 6 years ago, and all his experience coming to the fore, and the fact that it shows, and the sim racing is the great equalizer, isn't it, Robert, as well, in terms of, everyone's in the same machinery. So someone like Timmy Hill, who's usually stuck with, shall we say, lower end of the grid machinery in NASCAR, can show what he's really made of out there.
And taking the opportunity to do exactly that as well, which I think has been great. Same goes for the IndyCar program, where Sage Karam, who is a tremendous driver, former Indy Lights champion, of course, running the last number of Indy 500s with Rybold Racing. This is a guy that does a lot of sim racing and has a great rig. He's helped out a lot of guys getting the rig set up. He's getting a chance to show what he can do as well, right? And I just think it's been a very interesting program for sure. There's more contact that I believe Austin Olds, young driver in the junior karting categories, here in the U.S. Austin, I think only 13 years of age, I believe, maybe 12 years old for Austin.
Wow.
Yeah.
And that is, that's some machinery to be piloting even on a sim at that age, in a sim like this anyway. As Chase Johnston then is having a look at trying to get past the traffic, because his real target is 1 second up the road. That's the 46 car of Christopher Iannello, and that is that's his next target as the leader comes through on him.
And in that Team Penske colored #1 machine, Petticord's having a tremendous run here. And I'll tell you, I'd almost like to pick up Petticord and see what he could do as well in an IMSA race as well, because this a multi-series race, multi-class race, because he is just absolutely handling the lap traffic thus far.
Well, that's it. And people, would be naive to say that nobody's watching these races and seeing how the drivers handle it, because it's all experience, and it's all experience for, people like scouts and team managers in esports and in motorsport, to see how these drivers handle certain situations.
I think anybody can really downplay the importance of the events right now. We did the race at Indianapolis Motor Speedway on Friday, as I had said, with all the IndyCar drivers there. It was a 100 lap or a half distance Indy 500. And when we did the interview at the end of the day, talking to Will Power, Will admitted and told us that Roger Penske had watched the entire race from green to checker. So, here we are, a guy that's been in the sport for so many years, sitting down and getting on the computer or on TV and actually watching the event. So Roger Penske was watching, and I guarantee a lot of the Road to Indy team owners are watching. If you're doing well here, they're going to see it.
Oh, there goes Iannello coming out of the chicane. That's proving
behind.
That is proving to be the big trouble spot, isn't it? Did he actually get a tap? I don't know if he did, but maybe a bit eager to get on the power there. Hey, look, if Roger Penske's watching, and we know everything, we know a lot about him and his dedication to the sport, and that's another example.
Trying to get back on the throttle. And hey, listen, we've seen a lot of that because, again, there's so much horsepower in this modeled car here, this Indy car, and these guys are just trying to roll on too much power when they got the wheel, a little bit of wheel in it, and around they go.
I don't know about you, Rob, but I can guarantee that I would do it at least once in an hour around somewhere like
No doubt
here.
I would, for sure. Yeah, no doubt.
Well, this is the Stay at Home at 100, the Adrenaline Karting Invitational, presented by Adrenaline Fixed Karting here on Apex Racing TV. And Andrew Woodhouse, Rob Howden, and Marco Barbanera doing the cameras. Rob, it's great to have you here. It's been I'll tell you what, it's been an eventful race so far, very entertaining stuff. It'd be nice if we can get a few close battles for position, though.
Kept us busy, not so much with battles back and forth, but more just with drivers having some trouble and spinning around. I would love to see a good fight. We did see a couple of really good battles there for 5th, 6th, and 7th, a number of laps in. Right now back with Iannello. He's still running in the top 10, currently P9 for Christopher Iannello, driver out of Ohio.
But with the fact that I suppose a lot of drivers are coming into the pits, getting repairs, coming back out, as there goes around Chuck Maitland, currently 4 laps down in 8th place, and that's actually Adam Lacey actually going through then into 7th. But yeah, the drivers will come back to the other drivers, won't they, once they've got the repairs. So we will see battles forming that don't look likely at the moment.
Interesting things that I'm kind of following here that I find really cool. You got Jacob Petticord, Jacob, who's leading the way here. He's 18 years of age. But then we talked about Chris Iannello. He's 44 years old. Chuck Maitland's 41. Great thing about iRacing, right? It doesn't matter how old you are. You're in your sim at home. We got 12, 13, 14-year-olds racing with a bunch of guys in their mid-40s as well. It's a lot of fun to see this happening. Oh, that's the 15 going around. Brucey Maxwell again, just trying to get on that throttle a little too early. That's a tough part of this racetrack, coming through the turns, 2, 3, 4 combination.
This is a tough car, and I don't care what anyone said. This is a very, very tough car to drive. And Jeremy Runyon in the pits then, car 22, he was running in the top 10, not anymore. Let's see why. Oh, that's why. Oh, there's 2 accidents going on there then. So that was Ericsson into the back of the other Chrome. The 5 of Chuck Maitland. Oh, that's Maitland going over the curb, getting some air, and then getting hit on the way down.
I think this race car, this DW12, likes that curb at all on that particular side of the chicane. Maitland almost up and over by himself, but then it was the spin by himself up front as well. So Runyon went around by himself, got on the throttle too early, and again found himself in the wall.
Oh yeah, I mean, when you were talking about all ages, all shapes and sizes, everyone can take part in iRacing. That's one of the great things about it. I've covered leagues on this channel where one of the drivers was nearly 80 years old, and so it's fantastic because it helps. People are still improving. It doesn't matter what age; they can still get better and still have a lot of fun out there, and that's what we're seeing. But yeah, people as young as 12, drivers as old as 44. And all competing on the same piece of racetrack.
I think what it is, Andrew, and it's a lot of these drivers who are jumping on iRacing for the first time, it takes time. Just like when you're running your kart outside, or if you're driving in the SCCA or whatever racing you're doing, you have to have patience because you have to get more and more comfortable. You have to put those laps in. More contact there. That's the number 19. More issues as well for the 19. That's Ericsson. He's had an up and down run. He's still running P4, but there's been more than a couple of incidents with Ericsson there. But what I'm saying, it's this is a discipline. It takes time. It takes practice. You need seat time, just like anything else. And I don't care if you're 14 years of age or 84 years of age. You can hone this craft, and it's something I've been telling a lot of people. It's not like driving outdoors in real life. The IndyCar guys will tell you that they don't get that seat of the pants feel, but it's its own unique discipline, which I think is so exciting for iRacing because the simple fact is you have to learn how to be able to drive on this particular platform.
Well, this is why I think that when say the Formula One season resumes, someone like say Lando Norris, who's doing every race he can pretty much get his hands on, is more likely to settle in and be instantly fast again than some of the drivers who aren't doing the esports races, because it's like you say, it's just practice, and even though it's not exactly the same thing, it's just getting your eye in and getting used to certain things and certain procedures and certain ways of thinking, and that's what the drivers are getting here with these races. This is Johnston and Lacey then just 3/10 apart.
I can't disagree with you at all, and I feel it's the same way for even the karters here as well. If at the very least, it's hand-eye coordination, right, and focus. That's one of the things that Gabi Chavez said after the 100-lapper we did at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. He was absolutely exhausted having to focus for that entire race, and they were 2 wide, 3 wide, at one point 4 wide going into turn number 4. And it's all about the reaction time, and it's all about working on your focus. And the guys that are doing that, the guys that are going to be on the sims for the next 1, 2, 3 months, however long we're at home here, those are the drivers that, when they get back onto the racetrack, are going to be sharp and ready to go racing.
We're looking at Jamie Bradford there. Now, this is the battle for 5th place. And this is what we wanted. This is Chase Johnston and Adam Lacey then. Looks like Johnston's pulled out about half a second on that lap. I do want to point out, actually, that 2 things that happened in the last minute or two. Petticord set the fastest lap of the race on 41.8, but someone who's moving through the field, Rob, very, very nicely indeed, is Alan Elwood in 11th place. Now, started in 6th, but showing some of the best pace out there on the circuit at the moment.
28 years old, out of Columbus, Ohio. Alan Elwood, one of the drivers who runs in the KRA series at Newcastle Motorsports Park. I love seeing the guys like this that I've watched race with before, potentially have raced with at events like the Cup Karts North America Grand Nationals. That's the number 3 having some trouble. That's Chase Johnston, top of the hill.
Oh, Lacey had lost it then. And now, did he collect Johnston? Yes.
Oh, he actually gets in the back of Johnston, yeah.
I wonder if Johnston had a slowdown penalty or something, maybe, that he was trying to serve. But, yeah, the car with the US Air Force logo on it. Not really flying along when he's having to do pit lane speed, but hopefully he'll have to hopefully be able to come out and yeah, try and take that battle forward again. Elwood's got past
number 18 machine.
Elwood's making good progress.
Yeah, running 11th on the racetrack now, working his way through turns number 3 and 4 over to the chicane 5. Hard on the brakes, getting back on the throttle and trying to be smart, trying to see if he can't bring it up there cleanly.
Old, quite a good livery on there, the old Texaco livery. That reminds me of the car Nigel Mansell used to drive in the kart championship back in the day.
Yeah. Iannello in that number 46, currently in the 9th spot. Look at the damage on the back of that car, though.
Oh, and that's
he's actually mixed the turn in.
It looks like a what is it? A dirt sprint car with that angle of rear wing on it.
Aggressively up top of the hill, side to side contact. The 14 getting pretty aggressive as well. That is Michael Clark. Clark back in the 22nd position, a number of laps down.
Well, this is a battle for position. This is Eric Maitland trying to defend from Jamie Bradford. Now, Maitland's lapping. They lapped the exact same time last time round, but on average, Bradford just a couple of tenths quicker. He's trying to make his way through then on the 13 car. Maitland started 24th, Rob, and that's the highest mover so far in the day.
Hey, Marco, if we can, let's see if we pick up David Cole. I'd like to pick up David in the number 25. See where my man is. Am I running here? He's the editor, the managing editor of ekartingnews.com. Has been in the sport for a long time. He's been with me for 16 years at the website. David, let's have a look at him running here. Driver out of Grand Rapids, Michigan, Comstock Park. Going to tuck in behind the number 14 as they work their way up into turn number 1. Again, that's Michael Clark in front of him.
Now I know where that is. There. I know where that is, Grand Rapids, because they have a they used to have a hockey team, didn't they? An AHL team, was it?
They did, indeed. Not an NHL team, AHL, I believe.
Yeah, an AHL
Maybe
team.
the I. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's see what kind of lap times Cole can put down here.
Grand Rapids Griffins, is that right?
There you go. Marco's in with that too. Yes, the Grand Rapids. I don't know. I'd have to ask David about that. But if you have a look too, I think David's got the helmet modeled. His helmet is actually the throwback, one of his earlier helmets, the throwback to Greg Moore. Got the checker flag on the bottom of the helmet.
Yeah, nice, nice.
Again, good to see David running good. Get off the grass, Cole. What are you doing? To 16th position.
Oh, Petticord in then.
Ooh, Petticord into pit lane.
Well, let's see.
Shot of Firestones.
Looks like a scheduled stop for him, and it looks like a good one.
As well, yeah.
Nice quick stop It was 10.4 second pit stop, 34 seconds in the pit lane, and he maintains the lead over Von Glace then by 45 seconds now. Oh, Bradford! Oh, he's off into the field. It's a long way off there when you go off in turn one.
It's well off the racetrack. And you know what? Petticord's got to be smart because at this point, right in front of him is Christian Eriksson. That's 4th position. Eriksson's got some pretty good speed. Looks like he was able to get by. So, yeah, I'll tell you, Jacob Petticord has done a tremendous job dealing with all the lap traffic here today. And I think that's what's obviously set him apart. He's got the blinding speed, Andrew, but he has been very patient. He's shown maturity and been able to get by some of these lap cars when other drivers having more issues. And that's what's allowed him to be out front. And in fact, 2nd place driver Von Glace now into pit lane in the 23.
Yeah, really, for Petticord and for Glace, only really 1 incident each, and that's pretty good when considering that it's been a bit of a wild one here. And we're on board with Chad Clay, and he's looking at the back of Chase Johnston. So this is 4th position. Johnston, the only trouble he's going to have, Rob, is Johnston's disappearing a little bit. So it's not always easy to know where he is.
It's always trouble when you have a little bit of connectivity issues, right? And the guy all of a sudden
here he comes.
Saying, big run for Chad Clay up the front straightaway. He'll take that spot away, thinking about going by the lap car as well. Indeed, Chad Clay goes to the inside.
Oh,
Petticord back into pit lane.
And that's suspension damage. It has to be. It looked like he had front right suspension damage. Let's just see. Coming up the hill. Oh, a car loses it in front of him. And that's a huge accident for Petticord.
Oh, Andrew, can you believe that?
Oh, I mean, of all the bad luck you can receive, that's probably about the worst thing you can... Oh, it's Lucy Maxwell. She got a wheel on the grass as she went to turn into the second to last corner. Petticord was the unfortunate victim. However, what this has done, Rob, is it's put our top 3 within 18 seconds of each other.
And Petticord
just 6 seconds behind.
Way again is taking over that spot. He got that pit stop done and came out just as he did. We had the contact with Petticord, top of the hill with Lucy Maxwell. And, you know, you've driven a lot of races, Andrew, here on the iRacing platform. Is that not just the worst feeling when you're coming around the corner, you're at full song, you've got the throttle down, and someone right in front of you with absolutely nowhere to go?
It happened to me yesterday, yeah.
Oh, no.
Road America just going into the carousel. Somebody lost it. 2 or 3 cars had crashed, and the guy decides he wants to rejoin the circuit right in front of me. I go to the outside. I miss his car completely, get 2 wheels on the grass. I spin round, and someone hits me when I'm spinning. So, yeah, the wound's a bit fresh, Rob. It's a bit fresh.
I apologize for pouring salt on that this part of the broadcast, Andrew. My apologies. Petticord was going by, just went by Adam Lacey again. Lacey running up 10 spots, started 15th. He's now into the 5th position. So Adam Lacey doing a good job there on the 0-0, but Petticord was able to go by him. But like you said, we are restacking things. We are following the leader now. That's the 64, I believe, of Noah Stark going around again. But that's the leader there, Von Glace, who has run a tremendous run. Final pit stop already in the books. You're looking at the lap times there as well. 42.4, 42.2, or 42.4, 43.2. Kind of hard to get consistent lap times when you're having to deal with a lot of lap traffic, Andrew.
Yeah, you get that a lot in endurance racing, don't you? A big discrepancy in the times. And did you see how close that Noah Stark's car came to hitting the rear corner of Von Glace's car when he went past? I tell you, these leaders are living a charmed life as well out here at Lime Rock Park. But what this does do, Rob, is it sets up this finish of the race perfectly. 12 minutes to go, and we have 5 seconds between Glace and Petticord, and only 9 seconds back from those two to Joey Nuzel, who isn't lapping very quickly, I will say, but he's kept it absolutely clean as a whistle.
Couple of laps too. Petticord quicker than Glace by 0.3 of a second. He's only 4 seconds back right now, so he is slowly working his way back into it here. This is going to be super exciting before we're all said and done.
It's going to be a good finish. Obviously, the guys are going to have to make sure that they put enough fuel in it as well. Don't want any any disasters on the last lap with not having enough gas in the tank. But Von Glace, well, he's done a terrific job. Car 23 as
15 getting out of the way. That's Rusey Maxwell. I like that. Look at the sector times here, Andrew. Petticord quicker by over 1/10 of a second. 3/10 he makes up in sector number 2. We're coming down to 11 minutes remaining in this 1 hour of Lime Rock, this stay-at-home event, and we are going to have a battle for the lead.
Petticord's had a problem on this lap, on this sector. He's lost his front wing again. What's happened to Petticord?
Oh no, I'm back into pit lane for Jacob Petticord. Wrong. It is.
Oh, and that's with the 15 again. Oh. Not going well for the 15, not going well in the last couple of laps between those two. No rear wing on that.
Yeah, they were magnetic for sure, Andrew. Somehow they found each other more than one time.
He tried to...
He just had nowhere to go. Yeah.
I think she tried to get off the line, off the racing line, but it was too late by that point. And Petticord now finds himself in 3rd place. He may have a sniff at P2, but it's going to be... Well, in fact, no, because Nizelle has now actually picked up the pace, and he's now running a similar speed to the leaders. So Petticord at least appears for now, with no other crazy goings on, to have unfortunately been dealt a pretty bad hand there.
Thing is that Jacob did a really good job in terms of working with lap traffic and was staying out of trouble just a couple times, being in the wrong place at the wrong time, with Brandy Rusey Maxwell just having a couple issues here. One at the top of the hill, of course, and then one as well.
Elwood
coming through into the S's. Here comes Elwood, as you said, big run here, the battle for 8th position.
Yeah, and I think there might be some aero damage on Chase Johnson's car, because just Elwood powering past in a straight line, and now only 8/10 behind Chuck Maitland, who we've not really mentioned, but started in 25th place, Chuck Maitland, and doing a great job out there.
About that, Chuck Maitland again, one of the drivers, one of our older guys, 41 years of age, from Richmond, Indiana. Chuck, driver that I've raced before against in the Briggs Masters classes. And Maitland doing a good job, as you said, worked his way all the way up to 7th. Elwood was able to get by Chase Johnson, and there's a little issue there with Chase, the right front part of the wing.
Again, Elwood gets a fantastic run off the final corner. Really seems to be hooking it up out there. And yeah, the comparative veteran battle of this race between Elwood and Maitland. So Ericsson still runs in 4th. Adam Lacey still runs in 5th. Maitland, Eric Maitland runs in 6th. Then it's Elwood. Then it's Chuck Maitland. Then it's Chase Johnson. Then Jamie Bradford. That's the top 10. And in comes Joey Nizelle. Then this looks like it could be a splash and dash then, Rob, for the last 8 minutes.
As you said, only 8 more minutes remaining here. Glace and Nizelle's in the pit lane. Petticord, of course, slides through. He's 40 seconds back right now. Petticord trying to close back up. I just don't. It's not going to happen over this amount of time, although Petticord was incredibly quick. He'll have to get an open track, and Von Glace is going to have some trouble.
Yeah, it's not going to happen on sheer speed at the moment for Petticord. Well, it's just not going to happen at all on sheer speed unless something really goes wrong with Glace. But Glace has driven a terrific race. In fact, both of them have. And it's a shame that we couldn't see them battling at the front for a little bit longer, and we couldn't see that come to fruition at the end. What this has shown, though, a lot of the drivers who are having issues down the field, you know, don't feel bad about it, guys. This is a tough car, and without a lot of experience in the car, you know, you're going to find it difficult out there, but just keep plugging away, keep coming back. And for a lot of the younger drivers especially, you know, don't give up. Practice hard and see where it gets you.
The big difference, the huge contrast. Last week they ran the MX-5 Cup car at Laguna Seca. Now they're in the DW12 here. It's just a radically different car, number one, to drive. All the closing speeds, everything's so much different for the drivers here in this particular event.
I think that has caught a few of the drivers out, though. It's the sheer closing speed. In the MX-5, you know, if you have a little nudge here or there, you can sometimes get away with it, but in this DW12, it really can be curtains if you have a bad incident or two. As off at turn 1 went Stark, I think, going the long way around. Chuck Maitland is now has now been passed by Alan Elwood. This was Stark going the long way around.
Drivers have definitely had interesting times. Let's put it that way. Throughout the day, a lot of incidents on this racetrack, but like you said, just a lot of race car to handle, a lot of power, and we've seen a lot of throttle on oversteer, drivers looping around, coming out of the corners, whether it's in turn 1, out of 2, same coming through the chicane, turns 5, 6, and 7. There's been a lot of action for sure.
But hopefully, if we get more of these races, I don't know what the thought's going to be behind it for the race organisers, but if they do host more races over the next coming weeks, the great thing is going to be watching how these drivers improve and seeing how they can handle this car or any other car that they get thrown at them.
Indeed, and I think that's some of the things we've seen with everyone, right? From week in to week out, there's a race every weekend kind of thing. The drivers just keep getting better because they get more seat time. Well, everybody's staying at home, so what are you going to do? Get behind the wheel of your sim, get more comfortable, get some seat time, get some laps on the particular racetrack as well. And of course, we're seeing a lot of that. And drivers, every time they come back, are a little bit quicker.
That's it. And well, the top 3, Glace, Petticord, and Nuzel. And normally at this point, Rob, I'd be saying that the drivers will earn a little bit of the bubbly, but I don't know if they're old enough to have a little bit of the bubbly at this point.
Right, you're right. I don't know if Vaughn Glace is. I don't have any information on Vaughn, how old he is, but I'm sure that they'll get out of the rigs and be pretty happy when they're all said and done. It's a 41-second lead right now for Vaughn Glace. We are less than 5 minutes remaining. In fact, coming around to the 4-minute mark, this 1-hour event here at Lime Rock Park, and Vaughn Glace doing a tremendous job here in that number 23.
Well, if we go on board with Vaughn Glace, actually at the moment, Marco, he'll be able to see Petticord, surely. There he is, look. You can see him just a bit further up the road. Just heading into the chicane, I think.
The gap is that much. Shout out to some of the drivers who have worked their way forward as well, right? 10 spots up for Adam Lacey, 18 spots for both Chuck Maitland and Eric Maitland, both of those drivers. 18 for Chuck and 16 for Eric. Doing a tremendous job working their way forward. My man David Cole, I think, out of the race in 17th position. Tough one for David. He'll look forward to getting out to the next one as well.
Yeah, and Joey Nizell as well, 6th place up from where he started to be currently in 3rd. Ericsson up 9 from where he started. So, yeah, terrific stuff. Chad Clay up 11 places. We saw he had problems early on, Rob, but seems to have steadied the ship somewhat. As there goes Chuck Maitland. He's off.
That's Chuck Maitland.
He's nearly in the trees.
I like the decals on that. Support Indiana.
Oh,
Andrew, you carry that much speed into turn number 1. You just can't get it turned. The minute you drop the left side Firestones into the grass, you're done.
That's why this track is pretty tough, because there's not a lot of margin for error around here. I tell you, it reminds me a lot of many circuits in the UK, and that grass and barriers are always very, very close, or there's some large runoff areas, large grass runoff areas really, and it takes a long time to get back on. As Vaughn Glace is having to do a little shimmy, he doesn't really know which way to go to get past Iannello, who's being lapped.
I like the fact that Iannello kind of gave the inside line going into West Bend, because let the leader through. You're smart. Keep running. We're 2 minutes away from the end of this one here. They've got 79 laps in the book so far. Vaughn Glace, 35 seconds, the lead over Chad Petticord. Joey Nuzell runs 2nd. It's Christian Ericsson 3rd and Adam Lacey rounding out the current top 5. Andrew, we're almost done this 1 hour of Lime Rock. 58 minutes have gone down. About a minute and a half left to go.
Yeah, and Vaughn Glace is on his 79th lap, so he's going to get at least 80 laps in here. Tremendous effort. It's going to be 81 laps in the end, and that's that's a lot of laps for anybody. I know it's a short circuit, but it's a lot of times to go around, and Glace has kept it clean. He's done everything he can do, and this is the off. That's Eric Maitland. Eric Maitland, who had got up into seventh place with Chuck going off at turn one, and there goes Chuck saying, "I'll take that, thank you very much, my friend."
Yeah. Thank you so much. Well done. Final minute
Yeah,
of action here, Andrew, and we're on board here watching our leader, the number 23 of Von Glace. It's been an interesting race for sure. It wasn't so much a battle between drivers going back and forth, more of a fight of attrition, a fight of survival, and having to work through lap traffic.
yeah, it's the equivalent of short track racing, isn't it? We know that NASCAR have been at Bristol
It
this
is.
week, and it is that equivalent. It's street fighting. It's who can be resilient and who can be consistent, who can be there at the end. You said straight away, stay out of trouble. That's what you'd be looking for people to do, and that's what they've done. Well, at least Glace and Petticord have tried, and they've done everything that they can control. They haven't made errors on their own behalf. And coming into the chicane for the final time, Rob, it's been a terrific race for Glace.
Racers don't want to rely on luck, but you almost had to have some of that because unlucky in some parts. But I'll let you bring it home here right now. Andrew, great run here for Von Glace.
1 hour is up. Comes around the final corner. The checkered flag is out, and it flies for Von Glace. And he takes the win here. Man from Pennsylvania did a great job out there. And Jacob Petticord, well, he's nearly a lap behind, but for so long, Rob, it looked like it was going to be his.
So we were watching the entire end of this race, and he was leading, and then he'd have an incident and storm his way back up. When I've talked about luck, it was bad luck for Jacob Petticord because he had such a good run all day long, blinding speed in that Team Penske black, white, and red number one machine. But he'll bring it home here in P2. A good run for Jacob Petticord. Second, he'll take it. Would like the victory though, but nonetheless, a runner-up finish for Jacob Petticord here today.
Joey Nuzel in third as well, coming across after starting in ninth place. Ericsson in fourth, Lacey in fifth. We're just looking at Ron Miller, who had an incident-packed first half of the race, and that's why he ended up down in 14th place in the end. But yeah, Le Champion is Von Glace, and he's going to be very, very happy with that. I'm sure he is.
For me, I thought it was a tremendous. I love the battling up front. We had a couple guys that were really, really quick, and I love the look. Have a look at the top four, Andrew. We talked a little bit about licensing. Von Glace a B license, Petticord an A, Nuzel a C, and Ericsson a D. All four rather license levels, all represented in the top four.
Yeah, and all four showed great speed. Certainly the elite of this race, finishing well ahead of everyone else. Vaughan Glace then the winner by 32.2 seconds over Jacob Petticord. Those two started on the front row. They finished 1 and 2 the other way around. Joey Nazel in third, Christian Eriksen in fourth, and then Adam Lacey in fifth place. Then Alan Elwood, the man from Ohio, in sixth. Chuck Maitland seventh. We saw him going off into the wilderness in the last couple of laps, but he finished seventh in the end, ahead of Chase Johnston, who just got Eric Maitland thanks to his spin on the last with 2 laps to go. Christopher Iannello in 10th, Chad Clay in 11th. Tim Huss was on his roof in the first corner. So that is a good result to finish 12th. Steve Ritter in 13th place. Ron Miller 14th. Jamie Bradford in 15th. Noah Stark 16th. David Cole couldn't improve from 17th, sadly for him. Austin Olds in 18th. And then heading to the back of the field, then Jeremy Runyon in 19th, had some contact at the start. Ricky Miller 20th. Brandy Rusi Maxwell had a few issues out there, but finished in 21st place. Michael Clark 22nd. Garrett Powell 23rd. Race Liberante started in the top 5 and we didn't see very much of him. And then Peter Gonatas didn't take the start, it looks like.
Truffin for Race Liberante, obviously an issue early, but you know what? A great day here. Getting an opportunity for these carters to get on the track and go wheel to wheel, part of the 1 hour of Lime Rock, the Adrenaline Fix event. This stay-at-home race, but really just a tremendous run for Von Glace. Staying out of trouble to get a big victory.
Yeah, and the most important thing is that we had fun here, and it was a terrific race. Rob, great to work with you, my friend, and hopefully we'll see you again next time.
Should we grab a hold of Von Glace to have a chat with him? Is that the call here right now?
Oh
What are we
yeah,
doing?
no, yeah, we can, yeah, sure.
Let's bring him in. Have a quick talk.
Where is he?
Von Glace, thank you for joining us up here in the commentary booth. Rob Howden alongside Andrew Woodhouse. An eventful race for sure. Can you walk us through a little bit what it was like from the cockpit?
So it really came down to minimizing incidents.
Looks like we've lost Vaughn.
Oh no. Oh yeah. Well, so that was the quickest interview on record. We'll give him a minute or two and see if he can come back in. But yeah, certainly. It was an eventful start. We're just looking at the replay of the start on the screen. Petticord and Glace got away well, and Glace is back in the commentary box. So Rob, take it away, my friend.
All right, Vaughn, let's get started again. We lost you there for a second. You said minimizing mistakes, minimizing contact. Talk a little more about the race itself.
Yeah, it was really just pace management, a lot of fuel management too. And then just picking off car, like one car at a time. I was lucky enough to have Race Liberante in my ear after he wrecked out early on, telling me what's going on around me. And really just kind of planning ahead, 2 steps, 3 steps.
It looks like we've lost Von Glace again. But that last sentence that he was in the middle of, they obviously did a great job at looking at who was around the track and looking where the next problem area or so was, Rob.
You know what? I think there's obviously a lot of value in having a spotter. Somebody like Race Liberante is a veteran driver, does a lot of running on iRacing as well. Superkarts USA Pro Shifter 2 champion last year, had a tremendous run, was able to score that championship. Vaughn, we got you back again. Not sure why you're dropping out on us, but let's cap things off.
At least he wasn't dropping out during the race. Anyway, that's the main thing.
That's it. What do you think, Vaughn, about winning this one? Let's just give us your thoughts before you maybe get bumped out again. What are your thoughts on winning here today?
Took a lot of hard work and preparation going into it. We have a.
Well, I think Andrew, 3 times the charm. Congratulations to Von Glace for the win. Not able to keep him here in the commentary booth, but man, it was a pleasure working with you for the first time here on Apex, and man, great racing.
Yeah. Great stuff out there. Really entertaining race, and we hope that we don't know exactly, like I say, if there's going to be any more of these, but I hope there is, and if they are, then we may well be here for them. So yeah, it's been an absolute pleasure, everybody, for bringing this one to you. The Stay at Home 100. Just to echo what Rob said earlier on the broadcast, you know, sim racing has been a great escape from everything that's going on around the world. But stay safe, everybody. Be careful. Stay at home. Do what you can. And we can all get through this on the other side. But from all of us here at Apex Racing TV, I've been Andrew Woodhouse. He's been Rob Howden. Thank you to Marco Barbanero on the cameras once more. And from all of us here, it's good night from Lime Rock Park.